Hello and welcome to Take
What's
Liberties,
going on?
episode 19. Really, it's episode 18, part 2, but let's just overlook that. This is a second episode for this week. We're talking about international issues. The last episode, if you missed it, was we talked about Barnaby Joyce, Pauline Hanson, and cops. So you know that it's some good discussion there. Right now, we're going to talk about what are we going to talk about? I forgot what we were going to talk about.
Tommy Robinson,
Oh yeah, Tommy Robinson and Donald Trump,
Trump.
and maybe the NFL being shitbags. So let's talk about Tommy Robinson because that is the hot topic at the moment.
I just realized the underlying theme of this entire thing is effectively free speech. You might as well call it free speech.
I
It
guess
just happens to be
sort
all
of, yeah.
international stories.
Or dickheads.
Yeah,
That's how I like to think of it when it comes to those
Dickens
three
Anonymous.
things.
Yeah.
So
So
let's-
here's
so for the benefit of
so
who
much
is
about Tommy Robinson.
somehow out of the loop of this, who's not doesn't do political things online, Tommy Robinson, which is the stage name. He's not really an actor, I guess, but of like Stephen Yaxley something or other, like some really British sounding name. Anyways, Tommy Robinson is a activist. He started the English Defence League, which is like a
Which is now
nationalist
defunct.
organisation, now defunct. But basically, he doesn't like the Muzzies. And he wants them gone, and he gets people upset. He's a right winger, and he was arrested and sent to prison for 13 months for filming outside a courthouse in Leeds, which were having trials regarding some of the
The
grooming
Muslim
gangs.
grooming gang.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
he was
So
basically
here's
warned. Yeah, go.
yeah. Sorry. So his lawyers actually. We do need to actually cover the full gamut of things that good friend Tommy Robinson
Yep.
has done since 2014. So apparently in 2014 he received a sentence for mortgage fraud.
Yep.
And he was off a suspended sentence on that when he committed the next crime, which I believe was contempt of court, by recording.
No, I'm pretty sure he actually went to prison for mortgage fraud because he got beaten up
He
in
did,
prison.
but then he got a suspended. He did,
Oh,
and then he got,
okay, for the contempt of court thing. Yeah.
Because of the beating up in prison, it was a suspended sentence. So he came out for that, and when he got out for that, he got charged with contempt of court, which was a slightly longer term than normal, because of the previous suspended sentence. And what he had done is he was filming jurors. This was in 2017, I believe.
And defended.
And he got. And defended, he was filming people and providing commentary, and I think the judge then said he was casting some very wrong opinions on the way the court case was going, in a manner to pollute the jury or whatever it was, in a manner to pollute the public, I think was the exact words. But he received a fairly large sentence for that, and I know he served all of it except 3 months. So he got a suspended sentence for 3 months. Now, what he ended up getting arrested for, and you should, by the way, we should definitely, I cannot encourage people to watch that video more. So his video is online, and you should definitely watch it to figure out exactly what he did wrong. So he got arrested for breaching the peace, right? And then from breaching the peace, his old charge for, contempt of court, got re-brought up, and that trial took that 3 months, and then the judge took that 3 month suspended sentence and whacked on another 10 for good measure. So and that was all done without his preferred lawyer, but I believe he had a duty lawyer.
No, I'm not sure. I know he definitely had a lawyer though.
He had a lawyer, which is the duty lawyer. So
Yep.
It would have been someone provided by the court. The ones that are there for bail hearings. So it wasn't his lawyer, which is his complaint, and it's his lawyer's complaint as well, that he wasn't allowed to have access to his client. And in the space of 20 minutes, he'd been charged and sentenced to 13 months in jail, with a suppression order not to talk about that to the media. And today, that suppression order was lifted. So that's why we know a lot more details about the events also that went into his arrest and sentencing. Now, as for, I've heard a lot of people claim that he was doing, sorry, what was he doing? He was intimidating jurors or something like that. which was his
Yeah, so
previous
so
charge.
if you actually watch the stream, like within the first couple of minutes, he approaches like the men who are about to be sentenced and calls them pedos to their face and all this kind of stuff, and it gets in
No,
their face.
that's
That was the live
no,
stream
that
before he was arrested.
no.
It's up on
I
YouTube.
there's a link on ALF. That's not what I saw. That might have been the one that he got arrested for,
That was the one he got arrested for.
like
Yeah,
in 20. Yeah, that was in 2017. So
yeah.
that's not this year. Right. Yeah. So
No, that was
the-
a recording of the live stream, like last Friday or whenever it was when he got arrested.
no, I watched that one. It's mostly silent and him walking up.
Okay.
I think I'll have to watch it again. I'm pretty. He's so in the one I watched, he was talking to members of the public and asking them what they would think.
Okay.
I don't know. Yeah. So
I mean, essentially, there was. So I'll put a link to. So there's a blogger called The Secret Barrister. There's a UK lawyer, and they have given a sort of step-by-step explainer of not only what happened but also the law, so people can look at that and make up their own mind about sort of what happened.
Well, I wouldn't say that. The Secret Barrister is pretty much on the side of. Well, I can't tell because like a lot of his arguments are that he interrupted. Sorry. So, like for example, Tony Robinson's lawyer has stated several times that this was a sentencing, and there were no jurors because they'd been dismissed, obviously.
Well, no, because this article explains why there was no jurors, which is contempt. So here's literally the quote: "Contempt proceedings do not attract a jury trial. The procedure for a court dealing with criminal contempt is set out in the."
No. That's his one. I'm talking about the actual grooming gang
Oh, right.
trial. Yeah. So one of the big things in the media is that he could have caused a mistrial because the jurors were there and he was trying to influence them and stuff like that. The jurors were dismissed because they'd already said the man was guilty.
Sure, but there's usually other jurors coming in as well. So it's
Okay,
sure. It's not just
sure, but the trial has You're right. It might impact future juries.
Yes,
but for that particular trial,
sure.
it has it's finished, right?
Yep.
So that's why he's not. So first things first, he's not facing contempt of court over this one. This is just the old one.
Sure. Yeah.
The judge has taken the old one and whacked on another 10 months.
Yes.
That's all he's done. There's no contempt of court over what he did on Friday.
Sure. Well, because I guess he essentially breached his suspended sentence guidelines or rules or
pretty
whatever
much.
it is. Yep.
Exactly. So that's where that's at. That's why it's 13 months, and that's why people are saying, can a judge actually whack on an extra 10 months like that? The answer, like your secret barrister guy says yes, but if you ask other lawyers, it's very unusual. In the answer of saying yeah, you can, but probably it's quite clear that the judge just said, I'm sick of this crap. I'm going to put you in jail for as long as I can.
Yep.
And the other thing, the secret barrister, I think it might have been right when based on the information he had at that point in time, but there's a lot more information available now, and it's just wrong, and he hasn't updated. So I would advise reading Mark Stein's article, as well as secret barrister's one.
Share that one as well.
Yeah. So Mark Stein's one still comes to the same conclusion that that Tommy Robinson's an idiot, but the information was more current when he wrote it, and I think there'll be probably more op-eds in the upcoming days, especially now that the suppression order's been lifted on the Tommy Robinson case. So we'll probably find out more details. But right now, as of this point, what I've seen is that it's the previous contempt of court that's been whacked on to the 13 months. There's nothing to this particular what happened on Friday. And that's probably because he has to go through that trial.
Yep.
If that contempt of court gets charged, then he would have to go through a separate trial for that.
So I mean, I guess that really gets to the question: is like, was this a just outcome? Like, should have he been arrested? Is free speech dead? Is this, I mean, I've heard this referred to as like gulag proceedings, which I mean, I'll be real. Anything that refers to gulags the UK government is rubbish, and they do invade free speech. But I suspect you'd rather be in England in 2018 than you would want to be in, Moscow in 1921 or whatever. Like, what happened in the
No,
Soviet
I'd be
Union is
happy in
no
19.
joke.
I'd be happy in 19. I'd be happy in 1921. It's 1950. Sorry, 1930 to 1950 that I'd be avoiding.
Was that? I thought the Great
The
Purges
early
were
days
in,
of
in
the
1920s.
No, that's the Great Purges of the Bolsheviks. Sorry, no, the Great Purges of the White Russians, not the Bolsheviks.
Okay, anyway. It
Yeah,
was all
but
really
anyway,
bad.
so yeah, it's all really bad. But
36
the
to
point is,
38, that's the one I'm thinking of. Yep.
yeah. So there's a reason. There's a reason we call the UK Thought Crime Island, and it's because of things like Count Dankula. Now, in the case of Tony Robinson, he's not really I wouldn't really use him as the case for free speech. But I think the greater point to be made about the Tony Robinson case is really suppression orders and what are they actually good for. I mean, the entire point of a suppression order is to basically counter the fact that the legal system is slow, like really, really slow. And because it's so slow to move, they don't want the jury to be influenced by all those news and the way that social media and everything has made the availability of information so quickly. They don't want them to be poisoned by that kind of thing. Now, I honestly think we need to have a serious think about how we want criminal justice to work. And I think suppression orders from a public perspective absolutely infringe on someone's free speech rights, right? Like if you, particularly if you were in that jury, if you were in there listening to all the arguments and you're a court reporter, all of a sudden you can't get that information out to the public as easily. And quite frankly, it's a double-edged sword, right? Like basically what it means is people are still going to be talking about it, but they don't have all the information that was there in the trial. Sure. What I would like to see is basically more transparency from the courts, or something where the court system is actually better at presenting how these cases are going, because you can't stop the rumor mill, right? Sure. This is effectively like judges trying to stop a rumor mill. But the antidote to that is actually getting the information out to people. It's not stopping information.
Of the Robinson case, though, is he's not just disseminating information; he's propagandizing. He's making statements. He's like, it's not just here's the facts. It's here are the facts that they were presented to the court. It's look at these awful, terrible people. Why aren't they in prison already? So, I guess that's...
Well, to be fair, they are awful people and they do need to be in prison.
Sure.
That's a determination the court's already made.
Yeah, but I mean, if they're convicted, they go to prison. So, while a trial is ongoing, they get the presumption of innocence.
Sure.
And people running around saying, those dirty, filthy muzzies raping children, they need to be in prison. Like, it's jury tampering.
Sure.
And that's why I don't have very much sympathy at all.
Agreed, and it would be, and if it was, it would be if he did that, and if it was something that he did, I would bet a lot of money on the lawyers of these grooming gang people having filed for a mistrial immediately.
Yeah.
They haven't, right? None of them have. And the reason why they haven't is because he came to a sentencing, right? So they'd already been convicted. Right? The question was, what's the sentencing at?
But
that's what he came into.
To go back to what you were saying before, though, was like he was found in contempt because of what he did on May 8th. So he was trying to do this before the sentencing. And the judge said, if you come back and do this again, we're going to send you to prison.
No, he was sentenced 2017. That was when that contempt of court. There's no contempt of court against him yet.
I'm pretty sure it's... Okay, again, referring back to this article which talks about what happened on May 8th, during the course... This is point 6 of the Secret Barrister article. It says, on May 8th, during the course of a rape trial at Canterbury Crown Court involving 4 Asian defenders, Yaxley Lennon, which is his actual surname, attended court and attempted to film the defendants, blah, 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 blah. So, this actually... this began earlier this month, and that's where this contempt of court... And when passing the suspended sentence, H.J. Norton, which I guess I don't know what that means, the judge says, you should be under no illusions that if you commit any further offence of any kind, that would include, I would have thought, a further contempt of court by similar actions, then a sentence of 3 months will be activated. In short, Mr. Yaxley Lennon, turn up at another court, refer to people as Muslim pedophiles, Muslim rapists, and so on and so forth, while trials are ongoing, and before there has been a finding by a jury that is what they are, you will find yourself inside. Do you understand? And he admitted to a contempt of court at the time. So,
Yep, that's right. That was on May. Yeah, you're right. May 8th.
Yep.
Yeah.
And
That
yeah, so
was,
I mean, in some ways, what's interesting is
that's another one.
the suppression of court thing is interfering with like our discussion here, because we've heard bits and pieces, and you know, it's all been a bit vague and the rest of it. So yeah, I mean, that is the downside.
So,
like it's you know, like you don't want to prejudice trials, but yeah.
Yeah, but that's my point. Is so I keep saying, like, you're right. You get bits and pieces here. That's actually a massive problem with and that's my point. We're all trying to have this discussion, and everybody gets bits and pieces of it.
Yep.
And the issue is, like, the suppression orders don't actually work, right?
Yes. Especially in the world of the internet.
Think about what's happened here, right? Like, pretend we're two potential jurors. Based on the information both of us have received, we've come at different conclusions, right? And it's because of the suppression order. I really have to go and dig at this shit to find out what actually happened. So I think we need to drastically change the way that we do criminal justice, right? Because it's quite obvious the suppression orders don't work. It's quite obvious the old notions of stopping the poisoning juries don't work. What we need to do is move to something with more transparency, right? So that more transparency such that juries are better able to make up their mind with all of the facts presented before them.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I mean, there are... Even in Australia, there's reporting restrictions on these sorts of things. Like, you know, like the ABC won't publish people's faces or names in these sorts of trials. So, yeah, I mean, I don't know if there's anything which they can do. I mean, I think the UK, they can restrict information more. Like the judge can order these things to not be talked about, like in, you know, like the contempt of court thing. But, you know, I mean, I think... I mean, it's the court. The order was lifted like 2 days after, and last. I mean, I don't know. I mean, I don't know if this is like a massive issue.
Well, it's a massive issue in the UK because people rightly want to talk about it and they can't.
Well, they can talk about it. They just, you know, like how much can be reported is restricted.
Yeah. Sorry, people want to talk about it in the media and actually have like a proper discussion about it.
Yeah.
But keep in mind, it's not about the media only, right?
Yep.
Tony Robinson's not a member of the media, right? He's
sure.
just a dude. He's not. He really isn't. He doesn't have a press pass. Right?
Yeah.
He's not a member of the media organization.
Okay.
Right.
Yep.
Right. So he's just a dude, videotaping stuff, voicing his opinions on fucking YouTube.
Mm-hmm.
All places. So I mean, like, I don't think you can make the argument that it's just for media. It definitely applies to all of us.
Yeah.
Even this show, right? Like technically, if the suppression order was still in place, we may have fallen foul.
Possibly.
If the suppression order was still in
Darren
place.
Hinch is a good example of somebody who did fall foul of one of these orders. You know, he faced contempt of court charges because he wanted to talk on his radio show about, some men who were accused of child sex offences, and he named them, and...
Who got away with it, and he got slapped with defamation.
Yeah, so...
Yeah. I err on the side of, I think this is a technology problem, and I think the criminal courts need to catch up. That's my position.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know. I mean, like, in the end, the court does control what is said in the courtroom and who can be in the courtroom with what sort of devices. So, I mean, the reason Tommy Robinson was doing this from outside the courthouse is because he couldn't get into the courthouse.
Yep.
So, in some ways, there are issues. You know, there are issues around this. And certainly, media organizations who could report on these things choose not to because they would face contempt charges. And maybe once that information's out, it's out. But nevertheless, you can still face penalties. And obviously, like Tommy Robinson did, after he'd done this thing, even though it's out on the internet, he's still in prison right now.
My point is these are public trials, right? They are public, right? You can pull out the transcripts of these things once they're written up and everything.
Yeah.
My point is, what harm does it do, right? To actually have it being visible, right? Even if it's just like, here's a courtroom video, right? And that way people can watch exactly what's going on in there.
Yeah, I mean, these kinds of trials are highly inflammatory. Like, they're like protecting the jury, because unless you're like
But the
sequestering the
jury's,
jury.
yeah, but I'm just like, the jury's already sequestered, right, to begin with.
Well,
So, I mean,
not always. Like, they're
quite,
not always kept
so
in a hotel room. I
sure,
imagine
sure,
most
but the
juries just
point
go
is,
home to go home, and so having this sort of stuff broadcast all the time on the media will influence their decision making.
well, that'll probably lead to greater sequestration
Yeah,
over the duration of the
sure.
trial.
So
That'd be the most immediate effect.
yeah,
But the
it would
point
be.
is, but look, my point is, right, you can't stop people getting information. And all you're doing with suppression orders is limiting the type of information people get, right?
Yep.
And the way that information is filtered. What I think would be best is if you had like a video of the courtroom, right? Or rather like just a screen of the courtroom, and you can watch the trial exactly how it goes, right? And everybody can just watch it. They can make up their own mind.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, it is a good point.
Yeah,
We've got 10 more minutes.
like
So
I
we're going to
said.
move on to talking about the
Oh yeah,
Donald.
shit. I forgot about the Donald.
Yeah. So
Uh,
it's been found unconstitutional for him to block people on Twitter because it's some sort of there's essentially a
oh wait, wait,
uh,
wait. Keep in mind, it was found unconstitutional by a circuit court, so
yes, yeah. So
it
it's
can actually probably still go up.
yeah. So yeah. So this is obviously going to go a long way to go. So yeah.
So
It
I just
was
want to make a plug. I just want to make a plug for the YouTuber Law channel, which is where I found out about most of the stuff. This story, sorry, for this particular. So if you don't watch YouTuber Law, you should. And there was a really, really interesting discussion. In fact, if you get into it, you'll probably find my name. And so he actually has a video on the circuit court and the Donald Trump not being able to delete tweets. Now, here's the interesting thing. In this discussion, someone pointed out, probably another lawyer, pointed out that the 14th Amendment technically guarantees everyone equal protection under the law. Sorry, the 14th Amendment guarantees everyone equal protection under the law. Now, under the Oberfeld, the gay marriage one, right,
Yep.
the precedent set by SCOTUS in that one, the interesting thing about that is that a private institution, which was marriage, which is then co-opted by the government by saying it's a public institution. So
Yep.
similar to how effectively this circuit ruling said that Twitter is a public space that just happens to be privately controlled, right? Now falls under the provision of basically equal protection under the law, which means if Twitter banned you, right, you could make the argument now that Twitter can't ban you because because Twitter is restricting access to the president.
yes, I guess that would be an argument. That I'm sure Twitter would
Yeah,
not like that argument, but yeah.
I'm sure Twitter would not like that argument at all. So, which is why I found this. So, which is the most interesting thing I found about this ban. So, basically, what the circuit court ruled that it's denying access of a citizen to the president or something like that, and you're not supposed to do that. Also, or rather, that's something that's unconstitutional.
Yeah, I mean, I
It's pretty loose reasoning, in my opinion.
yeah, it'll be. I think this will really the appeal will matter a lot. So yeah, I don't know. I honestly don't know how to feel about this decision.
I'm kind of hoping it stays, just because I want to see what these beach their favorite trolls end up back on Twitter.
Yeah. Okay. Um,
No, it's just me. It's just my inner chaos person talking. I mean,
sure.
obviously, the libertarian position is Trump is a private individual. Twitter is a private platform. He can fucking block whoever he wants.
Well,
It's
yeah.
no different.
Yes.
It's no different from me not picking up a phone call.
Sure, but like the Donald Trump is clearly operating policy on Twitter. Like, he's not just, oh, I like the football, or Solo was a shit movie, or whatever. Like, he essentially announces policy on Twitter all the time.
Sure.
Like not just
Sure.
once, like constantly. Like if you want to know what Donald Trump is thinking and what the policy of the United States is going to be on anything, Twitter is where you would go. So saying, I mean,
Sure.
so that, you know the thing says that, you know, that his particular Twitter account is a public forum operated by the government, and I imagine his media team do manage it in some way, obviously not in every way, because otherwise they'd probably take it off him. But
Yeah, I'm pretty sure Covfefe would never have
yeah,
it was.
you know, I feel sort of bad for a lot of people behind the scenes. I feel bad for because they just have to deal with this man child. But you know, it's
Like I said,
it's kind of it does. This is an unprecedented kind of situation. You know, like we don't have a set of norms, like, you know, what you just said, which is like, you know, private individual, private company, they can do what they want. But we haven't really seen a president try to do this sort of thing before. And certainly, I mean, not in Australia have we seen anything quite like this. So, it's really difficult to sort of say, well, that's strictly the way it is. I mean, if we were to say, I think libertarians would say, okay, if a government signs a contract with a private corporation, that contract should be more, you know, there should be accountability. Like, it shouldn't just go under the guise of, I'm trying to think of the term, but like, you know, private confidentiality type things, like, you know, sort of private operations and that kind of stuff. And you never hear those contracts because we have situations where governments are signing contracts for millions or billions of dollars, and you can't get access to what the contract is for because they use the private nature of the company to kind of obscure the details. Confidentiality in something or other. Anyway.
confidentiality agreements or whatever.
Yeah.
But,
Anyway.
Yeah.
It'll come to me. But you know,
sure.
and we would say as libertarians, that's probably not on. Like those, if the government signs a contract with a private company, that contract should be public on the public record. Like taxpayers should know what they're getting for their money. And if you just bury all these things, and actually another good example is like the use of stinger technology. So in the US, there's, well, probably not even just in the US, but there's technology that allows law enforcement and military and stuff to mimic the cell phone towers, so mobile phone towers. They can essentially mimic those towers and then get the data that is sent from those phones. Now, what happens in the US is essentially the company that supplies these things forces governments to sign confidentiality agreements so they can't reveal that they have this technology. So when defendants are going to court based on this information, they essentially have to recreate a different explanation for how they got this information from these cell phones. Well, as libertarians, we'd say that's totally inappropriate. Like, if you know, the government shouldn't be able to obscure the technology they're using to prosecute people in open court using confidentiality agreements. So, how much different is that from Twitter then? You know, Twitter is operating a thing that the government's using for official statements.
So the easy way to get around that is, when Donald Trump blocks someone, it's not as if that information is no longer available, right? Information's still going there.
Yeah.
He's just not receiving all the messages back from the person.
Yeah. Okay.
Right.
Yep.
So it's a one-way block. It's not as if Donald Trump is now saying you will never hear from me, right?
Yep.
It's just you and I can't converse, and it's no different from basically, like I said, the Donald not accepting a phone call from someone, or the Donald like closing the door on someone.
What if they put a ban? You know, they said to CNN, "We're not going to send you any more information from the government. We're going to ban you from the information's out there. You can go talk to your mates over at NBC or whatever. But you know, we are not. You know, if you want to communicate with the government, we are going to ignore all of every attempt by a media organization to contact or get information that would otherwise be given to them." Would that be okay?
Well, they technically wouldn't be able to do that because that's an FOIA, right? So there's a freedom of information.
Sure.
So they can't really do that. But you're saying...
Well, under your argument, maybe they could.
No, my argument is it's Twitter, right? The information is still out there. The president blocking someone on Twitter doesn't stop the person from receiving information, right? They can still receive the information through communications directly from the White House. They can still receive the communication through their public addresses. They can still receive the like the point is, basically, you don't need, or rather, you don't need to be able to converse with Donald Trump in order to get those policies.
Sure. Yeah.
So, yeah. So, and like I said, the more, like I said, my inner agent of chaos really wants this to stick around.
Because you want to
Potentially
see
because I
Milo
want to
back
see
on
all
Twitter.
those. Yes, I would love to see Milo back on Twitter. And he's and funnily enough, people finding the American Constitution guarantees him a Twitter account.
Yeah.
That would be fucking hilarious.
Yeah,
To me.
that would be a real Pandora's box of yeah. Yeah, I mean, as I said the other day, I actually don't have a strong. I don't know. Well, sorry, I don't know how I feel about this. So, like, even though I was pushing back against what you're saying, I don't know if this is sort of a very like an easily categorized kind of case.
I think you'll find if you actually ask Jack Dorsey and Twitter, they probably don't like this ruling.
Yeah.
Because it's just like it forces them to do things with people's Twitter's accounts.
Yeah.
So forces people to do things with Twitter accounts that they're not comfortable.
Yeah.
They don't like the idea of a government telling them.
Well, I mean, the ruling is against Trump and his like media director or something. So it's not actually against Twitter yet. So I imagine that if Trump doesn't unblock people, if this is upheld down the line, that if Trump doesn't unblock people, then I suspect they'll probably sue Twitter.
Yep.
Yeah,
for not making Trump do it. And in that situation, I think you'll find Twitter will basically go like, no, we don't want to do this. It's just like, yeah, you guys had your fun. I think the end result may be that Twitter moves its corporate headquarters to somewhere else, such that they're not subject to this kind of ruling.
Yeah.
So the stalemate might end up being, hey, yes, the president does have to do it, but Twitter's not going to enforce it. So good luck with that. Good luck going to where you don't have jurisdiction.
That's it. All right. Well, I think that does it for this second episode of this week. Thanks everybody for joining us. Like, share, subscribe on iTunes. Actually, something I don't think I've said before, leave us an iTunes review. I'm going to actually go see if there's any reviews. Maybe if there's some new ones by next week, I'll read them out. But thanks for listening.
I've always been curious if there are people still listening to us on iTunes, because I know that for a while that was our biggest listener base.
Okay.
But I don't think we have any more.
Well,
I don't see very many.
You can prove us wrong by giving us a review. So,
yeah.
Thanks very much. We'll be back in next week.
Bye.